This is the skill video for Unit 2, Skill 2, which is on finding missing angle measurements. We talked about having different kinds of angles in Skill 1. We have complementary angles, supplementary, vertical angles. And sometimes some of those have special relationships, right? They might add to 90 degrees or add to 180, or maybe they're the same angle, like vertical angles, which are straight across from each other. And here we're going to use those relationships to solve for or to find a missing angle. Okay, so here's an example. Let's say I have this picture. Okay, and labeled in that picture, I have this 61 degrees, and let's say the letter B. Okay, now those are representing markings for those angles on the inside there. Okay, now if you want to find the measure of angle B, we need to know what its relationship is to the other given information. Okay, so first you identify the relationship. These are vertical angles, right? They are straight across from each other. There's kind of an abbreviation for the word angles. And in that case, okay, you set them equal if you have two vertical angles. So here we're setting angle B equal to that 61 degrees, and we're done. Okay, now later on we'll actually have to solve for a variable x, but here B is by itself, it's 61 degrees. Now in a second example, let's look at this picture. Let's say we have a couple angles here. This angle says 33 degrees. This angle has a B inside of it. And then you're given kind of this partial circle, and it says 300 degrees. Okay, so the 33 degrees is for this small piece. B is this unknown angle here, and then 300 degrees is this large outer angle. Okay, now together notice that all three of these angles are creating a circle, right? And how many total degrees are in a circle? Well, 360, right? So a circle equals 360 degrees. So whenever you're going all the way around, so let's write a full circle of angles, then basically what we want to do is add up all the pieces and set it equal to 360 and solve. Okay? So we add them up and equals 360. So here we have the angle B. We're not sure its measurement yet, but you add to it the 33 degree angle, and you add to it 300, whoops, just a second, there we go. Okay, and then the 300 degree angle, and that's supposed to equal a total of 360 degrees, right? So we know that if we combine our like terms here, we've got a total of 333 degrees already represented in that circle. And when you subtract that from both sides, we solve for angle B. What's 360 minus 333? Well, that's 27 degrees. Okay, so finding B when you have the full circle is adding them all up and setting them equal to 360 and solving for your variable. Now let's look at a third scenario. Okay, let's say I have a straight line and I have it split into two parts, like this. And this obtuse angle is labeled B, and this acute angle is labeled with a 25 degrees. Okay? Now here, I notice that these two angles are supplementary, right? Because I notice they create that straight line. And when I have supplementary angles, I know that they add to 180. So I'm going to add the two angles, add them, and set it equal to 180. Right? So here I know that B plus the 25 degrees needs to equal 180. And when you subtract that 25 degrees from both sides, we have what's left for angle B. And in this case, that would be 155 degrees. Okay, so angle B is an obtuse angle of 155 degrees. And finally, along with that, we could have a complementary angle scenario. Okay, now maybe you see something like this. Maybe you see that box symbol in there that you know there's some 90-degree angles going on. And then maybe I'll draw this, and I'm going to label 26 degrees and B. Now, if we're trying to find angle B here, okay, notice that if you're given this 90-degree angle and you have a straight line down here, well then there has to be another 90-degree angle on the other side, right? So angle B and this 26-degree angle, they are complementary. They add up to the 90 degrees, okay? So this would be a complementary angles scenario. And so what do? We add them, and we set it equal to our 90 degrees, right? So here, the angle B that we're trying to find plus the 26 degrees should equal 90. We subtract that 26 from both sides, and we have the remaining amount for angle B, which is 64 degrees. Now let's look at a few examples where we have to solve for our variable x, which it's more than just the angle itself. So here's example 5. This might be a common picture that you would see. Kind of this bow tie, and maybe you have two angles that are marked. One is 56 degrees, and if across from it, it said 2x degrees. Okay, and our goal is to solve for x. Well, we still have to think about what kind of angles we have here. Well, since they are straight across from each other, these are vertical angles, and we mentioned that vertical angles are the same measure, right? We set them equal to each other. So here, we're setting the 56 degrees equal to that measurement 2x degrees, and now we just have to do a little bit more and solve for x, right? So we divide by 2. 56 divided by 2 is 28. Okay, so x itself is 28. Okay, so for some of these we have to do a little more solving. And it has to do with what kind of angles you're given to begin with. So let's see, let's try this one here. Okay, let's say that I give you one angle. This one is 115 degrees. And then let's say this angle in here is labeled 2x plus 9 degrees. And you need to solve for x. Okay? Well, first of all, there's only two angles that we really need to worry about, right? That we have information. At this obtuse angle, and then this acute angle here. So you can almost mark out this line. It's just extra, and we don't need to focus on that at all. So we really have this straight line, right? Two angles that are creating this straight line, and these are supplementary angles. They're adding up to 180 degrees. Okay, so we use that information to help us write our equation, right? So the 115 plus the 2x plus 9 needs to equal 180 degrees. And we solve for x. Okay, we combine our like terms, so 115 plus 9, okay, that's 124. Bring down the plus 2x equals 180. Let's subtract that 124 from both sides. Now we have 2x equals, let's see, that's 56. We divide by 2, and x equals 28. Okay, let's do one more. I'm going to give you the scenario, and then we'll pause the video. You'll try to solve for x, and then we'll compare answers. I'm going to move this off to the side. This will be our final one, number 7. Okay, here's your picture. Okay. Your angles, this one here is x minus 5 degrees. This angle here is x minus 45 degrees. And this angle here is 246 degrees. Okay? Think about the scenario that we have here, and your goal is to solve for x. So go ahead and pause the video and complete this problem. Okay, so the answer for x is 82. So here we are looking at the full circle type scenario where all three of those sections need to be added together and set equal to 360 degrees. And then we combine like terms and solve for x. And that is a skill video for Unit 2, Skill 2, on solving for missing angles.